to the Unfleshed podcast. This is TJ,
This is Chris.
and we're kind of bringing something new to the podcast. It's called Movie Mondays. So, first movie that I want to bring up would be Horns. And yeah, for a lot of people that don't know that, it kind of brings in the guy from Harry Potter. And you know, a lot of people don't really care for this movie, and I've seen a lot of bad reviews on it. But I actually thought it was pretty damn awesome. The concept alone to me was pretty cool. What'd you think?
I absolutely loved the movie. I thought it was a good concept on the movie, a good point. There was good information all through the movie and to lead you to where he was going.
And on that, I definitely would have to say that, yeah, they definitely. What's a good way to put this? It had, its suspenseful moments, and yeah, it was definitely something that I felt was worth a watch. And here I'm going to give teasers, not spoilers, so that's about all you're going to get from me out of that one. The next movie I'm going to bring up is You're Next. That one right there I thought was a very decent new age horror movie, simply because of the fact that, it is possible of happening. And, I'm not going to say that the graphics were really there as far as your kill scenes and all that, but the concept alone, I guess, kind of took me by storm.
I don't care about the graphics. It was scary and it could happen, and that's why I don't go outside in the dark.
Anyways, okay, so next movie we're going to throw out is Trick or Treat. And that's actually an anthology of several different short stories, mainly being Sam. And for everybody that knows me knows I'm a big fan of Sam because I got a statue on my forearm and all that good stuff. So with that being said, I thought it was a awesome movie. Yeah.
I liked it. I thought it was a very cute movie. I think for a horror genre. I know Dalton likes it a lot.
You don't go for cute with horror. Anyways, okay, well, for the next movie, From Hell. And this has actually been out for quite a while. And for those of you that don't know, that's the horror movie that they brought in about Jack the Ripper that Johnny Depp plays in. He plays the detective. And basically, he's trying to put together this case and try to figure out who the Jack the Ripper, actually is, which, it does go more, I guess, into facts because, they never caught Jack the Ripper. So, anyways, I definitely found it to be an interesting movie. I'm not going to say my favorite, but one of my favorites. Definitely worth a watch.
I mean, it was Johnny Depp, so not much more need be said.
Big Johnny Depp fan over here. Deep Blue Sea. Deep Blue Sea, to me, I thought it was awesome because it was like a new concept behind sharks. Something that they were able to bring to the table after the whole Jaws effect. And it wasn't like an immediate thing. It was something that took place like years down the road. So I actually thought that was a fairly decent movie.
I thought that was a pretty corny movie, actually. It was, like you said, kind of a whole shark thing, but corny.
Well, and you're always going to have a sense of corny, I guess, when you bring in rappers and all that kind of stuff into the mix. But I definitely would have to say that LL Cool J played a fairly decent part in that. And the same guy that, played the Punisher. So I don't know. I liked it. Next movie to bring up is Stir of Echoes. And that right there is Kevin Bacon. I've watched several Kevin Bacon films throughout my time. And I do think he's a good actor. And whenever it came down to that movie, I kind of had my my points of, that I just didn't really think it was going to be all that great because, he doesn't really play in horror movies so much. But I think the build-up behind that was pretty damn awesome, and especially whenever it comes down to the aspects behind like fucking uh the paranormal activity and all that kind of stuff. I think, and especially because this came out like way before all that, so I mean, I definitely think that it was a badass film, and yeah, I definitely give it 2 thumbs up.
Guess I don't remember that one. I've watched too many horror movies.
And then there's some oldies but goodies. House and House 2. Definitely, I don't know, kind of reminds me of The Gate. It was definitely a cheesy horror film, but not too much difference between that and, Gremlins and Critters and all that kind of shit, in my opinion. I definitely like them just out of, I guess, the more of the humor of the movies than the horror, but, it's definitely something that I grew up in and I kind of liked back then, so, I mean, it's something I kind of, took to for these days.
I guess I thought they were classics, so I kind of thought they were good. Like I said, they were kind of in the whole Gremlin and things like that, so I liked them.
Another one, oldie but goodies, The Gate. The very original Gate I thought was pretty awesome. Then they came out with Gate 2, and I really just thought that one was just like, I guess, beyond corny. It wasn't something that I would really want to sit down and watch again. I think they went way too far off in left field with all that.
I guess maybe that's why I haven't watched it, because I don't remember that one either.
And the Return of the Living Dead series. My personal favorite is always going to be, and yeah, it's always going to be part 2. And simply because of the fact, that's first horror zombie film that I guess I ever watched. It's where the zombies kind of, I guess, really think on things. And so I really did think that was kind of a cool aspect on that side of things. But yeah, the one thing that's always going to be burned in my mind is, at the end, they all get electrocuted, and there's the one guy that looks like Michael Jackson doing the Thriller, getting electrocuted. So, anyways, that's probably my top horror movie, as a kid.
Those are kind of the first horror movies I ever watched, so I guess I like all of them, because I used to sit and watch all of them every Halloween.
And the next one's going to be Jaws. Now, for those of you that don't know, S.K. Ballinger will probably protest this whole thing because he doesn't really find, Jaws to be horror. But, and for this day and time, and you see, like, the movies that are produced, it probably wouldn't be classified underneath horror. It'd be, under a thriller suspense. But for that time period, it was definitely into the horror field. You got heads fucking flying out at you and shit, checking, the whole of the boat. People getting eaten alive. I definitely see it as horror. However, first movie, I would definitely get 2 thumbs up. I thought it was awesome. I own it myself, and I still watch it, periodically, throughout every year. Part 2 and beyond that, I would definitely get 2 thumbs down. I think that they should have just left it at the 1.
I like Jaws, and I think it's definitely horror. Anything that makes you jump is horror, and I always sat in anticipation of watching Jaws, waiting for him to jump out of the water. So usually when he jumped out of the water, I jumped too. So therefore, it is horror.
Next one is Werewolf: The Beast Among Us. To me, that movie was definitely not, I would say, horror, but it was a good movie. It was, it definitely kind of had the sense of suspense in there, mystery in there. Yeah, I think it was a really a damn good movie, but, I honestly think that when you bring werewolf into the title, people kind of look for that horror effect, and I just didn't find horror in it.
I'm not a big werewolf fan, so anything werewolf is usually not something that I pay too terribly much attention to. If it wasn't for SK being SK, I probably wouldn't have read his book. But absolutely loved his book, but still not a big werewolf fan.
The next one I'm going to bring to the table is The Descent. I liked it. I guess it did have somewhat of horror grounds to it. You know, for anyone that hasn't watched it, you know, it almost reminded me of oh shit, like The Hills Have Eyes almost. You know, it's these chicks that go into the cave and you know they're exploring. They're trying to go through and you know find this you know new thing. You know the thing claim their own, and you know they run into these fucking beast type things that you know like live in these caves. So anyway, all in all, I thought it was a decent film, but it definitely reminded me a lot of like Hills Have Eyes.
That one made me jump quite a bit, so it's definitely a good movie. And the just waiting for what's going to happen next was a big thing, I think, in that movie.
I kind of you know think a lot of it was predictable, and I guess that was my problem with it. But you know, Chris gets pissed off at me a lot because I usually can predict a movie long before it ever comes about. So the Wrong Turn series. This is like one of Chris's favorites over here. She's already smiling bigger and shit. You know, honestly, I think that the first one was good, and I think it should have been left alone from there. Uh, you know, by the time they get down to it's Wrong Turn 4, you know, it's like they're kids and you know in a psycho ward and all this other shit. And anyway, so I don't know. The first one was good, and I just think that they should have stopped it there. So I give 2 thumbs up for number one, and yeah, everything else down for all the rest of them.
I think they should make lots more Wrong Turn movies and let me have all of them. I like Wrong Turn. I like all of the Wrong Turn movies that I've seen, and I think they're all pretty scary and pretty just twisted. So I kind of like that whole twisted thing. Look Who I Married.
Let's see here. The Underworld series. Definitely not horror. And they do cover the werewolves and the vampires. And don't get me wrong, I think Kate Beckinsale is fucking hot, but you know, I didn't see any kind of horror behind that at all. Like I looked at those movies as pure action films, and with that being said, I definitely give it 2 thumbs up and think that that was beyond awesome. But yeah, I would never put that in a horror genre per se.
Guess because it's werewolves, I don't remember that one very much.
Let's see here, The Wicker Man. Uh, Nicolas Cage plays in that, and he's basically a cop that was in a past relationship. Come to find out, you know, the ex was pregnant and basically on a island with a cult. And you know, honestly, there's parts in that movie to where I think that are definitely decent, but it's not something that I would say I liked. I really kind of thought that movie sucked, and I really had high hopes for it because Nicolas Cage plays in it, and I'm a big fan of his. But to the facts of it, I mean, yeah, there was just so much more that they could have done with it. I kind of thought the movie was boring.
I'm a big Nicolas Cage fan too, and I wasn't real impressed with that movie, but I thought it was all right.
And the next movie, actually, this is one of the ones that Chris bought. It was called Slave, and yeah, I guess it did have some kind of shock value to it, but I thought all around the movie sucked, and it was just like pretty much like a cheap made porno.
It was my fault. However, it looked good in the box. Either way, it did have some points to where it was pretty horrific, but yes, it was kind of cheap.
Yeah, I don't know about the whole horrific, but anyways, the next one would be the Hostile series. Hostile, the first one I thought was good, and to me, they made the second one pretty much identical, except for the fact that they just turned the males to females. And anyways, all in all, it's definitely not something that I give two shits about, and would probably, tell anybody that they should check it out. So
I think it was pretty good. I like the whole scare factor in it. That whole, it could happen kind of stuff.
I don't know. Let's see here. The Saw series. The very first one was a very cheap made film, but I thought it was awesome. It kind of brought something new to the table, and I think in the horror genre, it was something that needed to be brought to the table, almost out of desperation because of the fact of like how shitty horror has actually gotten. But that's another one of those movies that I think should have been left at the first film, because by the time you get to the second and so forth and so forth and so forth, because there's been so many series of that it just sucks.
I agree. I really liked the first Saw. After that, I wasn't that interested, but the first one scared me to death.
Let's see here. Let's go to some Stephen King based films. Needful Things. Not really my favorite, but it's definitely I definitely liked it. Now, that's like S.K. Ballinger argues with Jaws. Needful Things was actually classified as horror back in those days whenever it actually released out. This day and time, I wouldn't see it being listed as a horror at all. I mean, that's just my personal preference, but I don't. It's just a mystery suspense, basically.
I was gonna say I think it was more suspense than it was horror. It wasn't really all too terribly scary, but the suspense of what was gonna happen next was a big deal.
I don't know. Anyways, let's see here. More Stephen King movies. Cujo. Cujo, I definitely, I guess, could see more along of the line of like still, I guess, being classified underneath horror, because it is something that could possibly happen. I mean, for those that don't know, I have a Rottweiler. That's my, well, I'd say puppy, but I mean, he's about 100 pounds now. But I mean, we have bats and all that, so I mean, it wouldn't be like anything big for him to get bit by a bat and get rabies, and it could possibly turn into that same situation. So I could definitely see that, I guess, being more classified as horror for these days.
I think it was pretty scary. I mean, Cujo's probably one of my favorite movies, and it's definitely one of my sons. But I mean, I don't. I guess I just don't find it as a big horror movie. I've definitely seen scarier, but it is still a good movie.
And I think the horror that gets brought to it is kind of like the movie The Strangers. It's something that is possible of happening. Now, on those type of movies, well, Strangers in general, and many movies that are based off true stories, you got to look at what truth is to that. Yes, if you look at the movie as a whole, there is something, very quite possible of the same nature that can happen. However, that movie got based off of the true events of people going and knocking on people's door and running off. So, when you look at that, it kind of, I guess, takes away from it, because you're basing something off true events, and the true events that are there are slim to none.
That one movie was scary. that was a scary movie.
She says that because she's scared to look out the window at night. Anyways, okay, so still on Stephen King, Misery. I honestly don't see Misery as a horror-based film.
definitely not horror, but the best plot. I mean, who would not want to like kidnap or like Arthur and break his legs and show their pig to him? However, great movie.
It definitely makes it to where it's happy-go-lucky, living here. I don't know. I don't see Misery as horror really whatsoever. I'm sure it would be a horrific event to experience, in life, as far as in person, but yeah, I definitely wouldn't say horror. Anyways, Halloween, and whenever I say Halloween, the Rob Zombie versions of that. I honestly thought that the first movie was badass. I really think that they gave Michael Myers and all that justice, but they turned around and they made the part two, and all of a sudden he's following this fucking white horse and his ghostly mother and screaming die and all this other shit, and it really took away from any respect that I had for Rob Zombie and the series of Halloween.
I think it would have been alright if they wouldn't have made him talk, because he's not supposed to talk. Either way, still pretty scary.
Yeah, I think that whole following this fucking white horse and his ghostly mother pretty much turned it into almost like a fantasy, much more than a horror. But that's me. All right, well, next is Silent Hill. And this is one of my all-time favorites. And the only reason why is because this is the closest film I've ever seen to where it really comes down to logics behind, my thought process, the way I actually think about shit. You got fucking walls melting into like other crazy shit and everything else. It's one way daylight, one way dark, and all that. So it was definitely something that I thought was awesome. And actually, before I'd actually watched this, it's whenever I started my Double Days series, and I'm not gonna say they're hand in hand by no means, but that was definitely the closest I had ever seen come compared to that. So I liked them.
I actually didn't see this movie until I met TJ, which I didn't see a lot of horror movies till I met TJ. Either way, Silent Hill is probably one of my favorites. I do like it a lot. I like all of the characters and the things that just come about in the movie just makes it just all in all a really good horror movie.
Next is Dracula Untold. This is, I guess, more of a fairly on the new release side of things. It's been out for a couple months, but not too long. I really had high hopes for it, and I did like it. I liked what it stood for. But definitely not horror. Uh, it was more drama, so suspense, I guess, is how I would put it. I mean, yeah, it lacked on so many levels. So I definitely think that they could have done better. But, the graphics were cool and the story was there. So, I mean, it was definitely worth the watch. But, I wouldn't watch it throughout the thought process of it going to be horror.
I thought it was alright. I mean, it's, Dracula. They did a good job, I guess.
Next is going to be Ghost Ship. This one's actually been out for a while, and if you haven't seen it, and you really have like a thing for like creepy ass places, and well, kind of the title gives it away as far as like ghostly type things, check it out. I would definitely give this 2 thumbs up. I thought it was pretty badass. It's definitely something I watch multiple times per year, and yeah, so check out Ghost Ship.
That's one of my all-time favorites that I've actually come to learn about since meeting TJ. I just love the whole scary parts in it, the ghosts and the making you jump and all of that. It definitely has it all in it.
And I definitely think that as far as my favorite death scene, I'm pretty sure that Ghost Ship has that. So I'll definitely say that Ghost Ship has my favorite death scene. Period. And yeah, it's right out the gate. It's badass. I loved it. Next movie is House of Fears. Now, I didn't feel fear watching this movie. Uh, I definitely think it's a decent, probably B or C rated movie. Uh, I really just don't think that a whole lot of time and effort went into it. But it was decent. It wasn't something that I would die for watching or something. So
It definitely wasn't something that was apparently too terribly, expensive to make, but I loved it. I thought it was pretty scary. There was quite a few parts in there that made me jump. Um, Whether it just be, quick little scenes or whatnot, but I liked it.
I like the look of the clown, uh, and that expressed about what I liked about the movie. Open Water, yeah, another shark style movie based off true events. I actually classify this more down to horror than many other ones I've watched. And quite honestly, I thought this movie was just beyond fucking boring. But if you put yourself in those people's place, and you go for like scuba diving, you know, 100 or 70 miles, 80 miles out into the middle of the ocean, and you like come back up and they left you there. So I mean, you have limited amount of oxygen that you had in your tank, and you're stuck there watching like fins and shit circle you. That's definitely not something I would put myself into. And I guess, well, I don't know how many people really know this, but one of my biggest fears is drowning. However, if you want to top that off, it would be getting drowned while getting fucking ate to death. So I mean, I would definitely put that onto my horror side. As far as that goes, but I would definitely say it's not worth watching.
It definitely would be horrific to be in that situation, but the movie was pretty boring. It wasn't something that, I don't know, I would watch on a fairly regular basis or anything, but I mean, it was, I guess, a good concept of being scared.
Yeah. Next one we'll go to is the new Carrie. Honestly, I think the original Carrie was badass, and then they remade it again, and I thought it really went downhill for me. This newest Carrie, I really thought was pretty cool. It could have done more. It really could have. But the actress that played in it, I thought did a really good job. I actually think that they brought a little bit more of the book into this one, so I definitely say it's worth the watch.
And that's what I was going to say. I mean, I love the original Carrie. However, I also love the book, and I do think that this movie actually did go by the book a little bit more than the original one. So, I mean, I do like this one.
And my next movie I'm going to bring to the table is going to be Identity. And Identity, I really didn't see it as a sense of horror. It was more suspense, uh, psychological suspense, I guess. But this is actually one of my favorite movies. Uh, it's really hard to talk about this movie without, really giving too much away. But, the way that this movie was constructed, the different series of shit that everyone has to go to, stuck at this hotel, and I thought it was pretty badass. It was definitely something. I mean, like I said, it's one of my favorites, so definitely the two thumbs up and all. But I wouldn't classify it as a horror.
That's definitely a movie you have to sit and watch and not miss any parts to even get an inkling of what's going on. Not really horror, but definitely a little creepiness in it. Um, There are certain parts that are very creepy, but a very good movie.
Hey, yeah, it is definitely something you really have to pay attention to watch because, yeah, if you miss 10 minutes of that movie, you're probably going to be hung off in left field with it. I mean, it's definitely one of those sit down when you have the time to actually just sit down and watch that and be able to catch it all. The next movie I'm going to bring in is Drag Me to Hell. And I definitely have to say this is the sickest fucking movie I've ever watched. Horror, no. Sick, yes. It seems like every 5 minutes, this one chick's getting something puked into her mouth, and yeah, I wouldn't classify it as horror, but it's definitely a sick fucking movie.
Definitely has the gore factor in that movie. It does have a lot of just gory stuff that goes on, and it's not just part of the movie. Like you said, it's the whole movie is nothing but gore. It is a good movie, just very gory.
Yeah, I definitely think they could have, I guess, explained a little bit more into the movie, to where it could have actually made it, a better movie. And whenever I actually seen, the one of the actors from Jeepers Creepers in it, I was actually excited about it because I kind of expected more from it. So, let's see here, The Exorcism of Emily Rose. I guess I would say this would classify under horror. It's definitely got some creepy shit that's happened in it, and yeah, I mean it's definitely something that I really like to sit down and watch. I mean, I thought it was pretty badass. So
I thought it was all right. I guess I don't know. It was okay. It was creepy. I'm not the biggest fan of that movie, but it was good.
let's see, Resident Evil, and when I say Resident Evil, based on like absolutely all of them. Definitely not horror. Definitely action packed. Uh, uh, they were following the games pretty well, and I thought that was pretty badass. They've kind of taken it a little bit left field, but I still think it's a pretty good series.
I liked all of them. I think they're all pretty good. Those are movies I really did have to actually sit down and watch. A lot of times I have problems where I have to get up through movies and all that to do stuff, but I actually had to sit down and watch them to figure out what was going on and keep track of everything.
And the first one I thought was kick ass, and then they went to Extinction. I don't know. Extinction was definitely not one of my favorites of them. Yeah, it's almost one of those movies to whenever I want to sit down and actually watch the series, to where I almost want to skip that one. So, I definitely think that they could have done more with that. Let's see here. Freddy versus Jason. A lot of people are really frowning upon that, and I honestly don't know why. Actually, it was corny, but if you actually look down at the basis behind any Freddy Krueger movie or any Jason movie, they were corny. It's a corny horror, but it is a horror. And I thought it was rather interesting on how Jason found Freddy and how Freddy was dragged into the real world of things to where that battle could actually happen. So I'd have to say I liked it.
I did like it. I think they should make a lot more, of whoever versus whoever movies, but that's just me. I kind of like those movies, so.
Now, saying on Jason a little bit, Jason X was the worst Jason movie I've seen made in history. It sucked. It did have some cool things that happened here and there, but very few, and not enough to where it made it to where I like that movie like whatsoever. You put Jason in space, and shit just went stupid. So, my opinion.
I didn't think it was all that bad.
I mean, somebody's gotta like it, I guess. So yeah, sometimes they come back. The first one I thought was awesome. That's also based off of Stephen King, and I did like it. I really did, but it went south from there, as most movies do. So
I thought it was a good horror film. I mean, I thought it was, it had all the horror parts in it that you need. I mean, it had the suspense, it had the horror, it had, everything that you need.
I don't know. Jeepers Creepers. This is a movie that I really enjoyed. My son actually really likes as well. From the parts of it that I actually let him watch, but yeah, this was kind of a new age monster coming in, and I thought they did a kick-ass job with him. And there's actually a lot of people that hit me up and say that that the creeper reminds them of my character Grin. So, anyways, I mean, maybe there was some influence there, but that's definitely not what I was thinking about whenever I wrote Grin.
I could see that as a little bit of Grin. I do like it. I think it is a little creepy, which obviously it's meant to be. But I know it is. It is something that I don't know, just has that tad bit of reality there.
What reality is there?
It could happen. That's the whole point. Is it could happen.
Some fucking
don't know.
Winged demon and shit's gonna start roaming a road and shit and taking people throughout the
It could
the
happen.
day and night, driving cars and all that.
It's possible.
Alrighty then.
You don't know.
I wouldn't always listen to Chris. See here, the Crazies. I didn't care for that movie at all. I thought it was boring as shit. There was very, very few, I guess, scare factors about it, if any. And to me, it was almost like they were trying to make like a new age type zombie shit. But I don't know. It almost reminded me of like the Predator. Where they're like cordon off the town, and from the military, and basically just trying to like kill everything and everybody. Like I don't know. Anyways, it wasn't anything top of the list for me.
I guess that's just not one I remember. Maybe that's why, because you don't like it, so we don't watch it.
Very possible. Fright Night. They remade Fright Night. And it I don't know, it serves its purpose, but not one of my favorites.
Kind of like Fright Night. I mean, it's a movie that's supposed to be what it is. I mean,
it definitely is what it is, but
I don't know. I mean, I like Fright Night.
Well, okay, let's see here. House of Wax. The only part I really liked of that entire fucking movie was they killed off Paris Hilton. And that's it. It was definitely a B-rated movie. Nothing, I would say, too spectacular behind it. So, yeah, that's my opinion about that.
I guess I thought it was pretty stupid. I just didn't like that movie. I mean, there's no point in...
You believe that a winged fucking creature is going to go roam the goddamn street, but you don't believe in, like, stumbling across a town where, some serial killers.
I'm not saying that it couldn't happen. I'm just saying that it was boring. It was stupid to me. Either way, yes, the winged creature thing could happen.
Okay. So here, Signs. If you have not sat down and watched Signs, I would highly recommend it. I wouldn't say necessarily horror. I would definitely say more sci-fi, but it definitely has the horror touch to certain scenes. And Mel Gibson, I think, did a fucking awesome job during this movie, and I highly recommend it. So
that was a good movie. That's a movie I definitely like to watch over and over. It definitely had the bit of horror in it that was a little just off the wall. So it was definitely a good movie.
Let's see here. The Darkest Hour. I give it definitely 2 thumbs down. It fucking sucked ass. You know, just for kind of a rundown of that movie, it's like these invisible fucking aliens, like, come and take over the world, and so you're fighting these things. You can't see these things, so I mean, there's no scare factor behind it at all because it's like, yeah, you know something's gonna happen, but it's not like you're ever gonna see it coming. So I didn't like it at all.
Guess I don't remember that movie. I don't know.
You have to remember that. That's like every time they get close to anything electronic, it fucking makes it go off and all that shit. And that's how they know that they're coming. Fucking cars, the headlights come on, etc. Anyways, it's not worth remembering. Zodiac. That was based off true events, and I thought that movie was beyond awesome. So I would definitely check out the Zodiac.
I like that movie. I like watching the true story kind of stuff like that.
And yeah, that's got Jake Gyllenhaal in it. And actually, I want to say that's the first movie I'd watched with Jake Gyllenhaal in. And yeah, I thought it was pretty kick-ass. Let's see here. There's the Joyride series. The first one I thought was pretty badass. The second one I thought was eh. And then the third one I thought was shit. So, as series goes, it's going to go one way or the other, and usually it's down. And to me, that one was going straight down.
I agree. I think they should have stopped at the first one and just left it be as the first one, and that's it.
Let's see here. Mirrors. It's got Keith Sutherland in it, and I think he did a good job. I'm not going to say the movie was something that scared me by any means, but it was a decent flick.
It's a little creepy. It was alright.
Let's see here. The Ring. I actually thought The Ring was a very great concept that the Americans kind of stole from the Japanese. And I honestly think that and the next movie I'm going to talk about was kind of, breaking revolution here, to how things were going. So I liked it.
I like The Ring. It's one of those ones that definitely made me a little scared to do much of anything, including like get off the bed and all that good stuff and go anywhere.
Well, and it's definitely one of those that they should have just stopped at one. And also, just like the next movie I want to talk about, The Grudge. That was another Japanese, pulled from film. I think The Grudge was pretty badass, and yeah, the chick, with her little contorted ways going downstairs and fucking, being on the goddamn ceiling and all this other crazy shit, and then you got the little boy that fucking's like pale white and making these fucking crazy cat sounds at you and shit. Like, I definitely thought that that was more based through horror than 90% of the shit that's wrote these days.
That one gave me nightmares. I definitely had nightmares over The Grudge.
I am, but with that though, I mean, it should have stopped at one. Once they got into part 2 and part 3 and etc., I didn't care for so much. So yeah, but I like the first one. I thought the first one was great. The next movie is Boogeyman. Now, Boogeyman, I thought was a decent movie. It didn't scare me by any means, but I thought they had some pretty good qualities behind that. Chris, on the other hand, it scared the shit out of her. So, what you think, Chris?
It definitely made me jump. Definitely scared me. But again, I'm a sissy, which is kind of funny. That I am such a sissy, seeing as how there's so much horror in this house. Yeah, it was definitely a good movie. I think any movie that can make me jump and make me a little bit scared, then is definitely worth watching.
We're about out of time. However, I want to bring up one more movie. This last movie I'm going to bring up is Devil. Devil is a very cheap budget film. I would say a good 99% of it is shot in a fucking elevator. And you would really think that there's not a whole lot that they could do in an elevator. However, I thought that they did a awesome job with that movie, the concept behind it, and even though I was able to kind of read that one from the beginning and call it play by play, it was still almost shocking watching the end of it and watching it, all kind of come together. Uh, so I mean, even though like I could already figure out who was the devil whenever they became, it was I'm not gonna say shocking, but I thought it was rather badass.
It was definitely an awesome movie. However, if you ever watch a movie with TJ, he seems to be able to tell you the ending right off the bat. Don't watch movies with him. Either way, it was a very, very good movie, and it was pretty creepy.
Well, I write horror for a living, so I mean, it's kind of, I guess, easy for me to go through and I guess see the outlook of how I would go about it, and usually, apparently, they thought the same thing, and I usually end up right.
Nobody needs your opinions throughout the movie.
Right on. Anyways, all right, guys, I will be posting up the next episode tomorrow. So, anyways, as always, y'all have a good day. I'll talk to y'all later.
Burn you to the ground. Burn you to the ground.